Ops. Ladies and longs, when I said I had absolutely zero expectations going into Black Ops 7, that statement is in no way hyperbole. Everything about this game spelled failure from day one, whether it be advertising like needing us in Verdansk.
Join us in Verdansk. We miss you. We need you. I have not finished the full game of zombies.
Stick it up your ass, prick. To the beta, leaving everything except a good taste in my mouth, this game just felt like it was on a collision course to failure. And after finally playing the full release, holy shit, it feels so good and so bad to be right. So if you didn't know, somehow, this year's flavor of slop that Activision shit out is none other than Black Ops 7, the sequel to last year's Black Ops 2, and is in-universe a direct sequel to Black Ops 2. So you may be wondering, how exactly did we end up here?
No.
Well, you see, after Black Ops 6 launched last year, the game, I will have to admit, it was pretty good. Hell, I even felt wrong giving Black Ops 6 so much shit when I played its beta, because after going through the entirety of the campaign, doing Easter egg runs on zombies, and sinking in some pretty decent hours into multiplayer, I walked away pretty satisfied. It's definitely far from the greatest Call of Duty I've played. Hell, not even when you're only comparing it to the new climate that the series is in. I still think that stuff like Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops Cold War is still tons better than this. But this game felt like it was one of the best steps forward for the entire series. And hey, it was even a pretty big W for Activision to release this game on Game Pass, meaning that a hell of a lot more people would be able to experience it. But of course, Activision being Activision, they don't really know how to capitalize on a game's success in the right way, do they? Because instead of letting this series cook up another entry into the franchise while the team at Treyarch focus all their attention on some brand new ideas of how they can do something better than Black Ops 6, higher ups at Activision must have been like, nah, it's Black Ops 7 time, here's like 8 months of development, have fun, fuckers. And what I find extremely baffling is that it would seem that history just repeated itself. Because need I remind you that 2023 happened? You know, the year where you can get absolutely railed by Yogi Bear. And it was the year when none other than Modern Warfare 3 released. And we all know how that game turned out, don't we? And I think it's pretty obvious to see that Black Ops 7 is no different. But I understand I am doing a lot of yapping, so why is this game such a tremendous travesty? Well, let's get down to the basics. As you've come to expect by now, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is split up into 3 primary modes: campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. And I'm gonna do something that no YouTuber tends to do and respect your intelligence and not waste your time here, because multiplayer, same shit with a different skin. Although me saying that it has a different skin is really stretching it when you consider that we have 3 maps returning from Black Ops 2, and I'll explain the significance of that little coincidence a bit later in the video. But yeah, multiplayer, don't even bother. Zombies, on the other hand, is something that I wanted to spend a little bit more time on, but it still sadly has a bunch of problems itself, which I will get into later. But nah, for this entire video, I want to talk about the one thing about this game that broke me the most, and that was the game's campaign. So before we even got the game, it was revealed that Black Ops 7's campaign would be co-op, meaning that you and up to 4 players would be able to experience the game's story together, which sounded like a great idea, except they made it needlessly confusing by saying shit that there won't be a difficulty select and that will be dependent on how many people are in a lobby. So that means if you have 4 players that want to do the co-op campaign together, and having 4 players essentially puts this game on veteran, then oh boy, I would hate to be the 4th. To some other shit like when you reach the end of the campaign, there's gonna be a 32 player thing that happens, which already raised some red flags for me, and unfortunately, that hunch of mine was correct. And what was that hunch, you might be asking? The fact that the multiplayer campaign was going to require you to be online at all times, meaning that if you got a shitty internet connection, womp womp, idiot. Now I do understand that online connection was mandatory at all times in the past games, even with the campaign, but I personally think that it wasn't as bad there as it is here. So what does that mean? Well, that perfectly leads us into the first problem with Black Ops 7's campaign. It's just an extension to the multiplayer and the zombies mode, an extension that even includes the connectivity that you'll have to have when you're busy playing those 2 other other modes. If that doesn't make sense, well, let's say if you have constant lag spikes in multiplayer, you're going to be experiencing that in the campaign mode as well, because of how the online connectivity is linked between all three of these modes. And that also adds to the second problem. The campaign feels just like you're playing a multiplayer mode with bots, not helping the fact that you're also able to get kill streaks and other stuff in the campaign. Hell, even in the campaign, you're still able to upgrade your multiplayer level as well as upgrade your weapons. So essentially, this is literally just a multiplayer mode with the campaign skin slapped onto it. And do you want to know what other game did something similar? Modern Warfare 3. The best modern Call of Duty. Except in that game, you didn't need to be online just to play its campaign. Because why is that? The campaign was its own separate entity where the online connectivity just acted more as a DRM to prove that you have the license. Meaning that if you have shitty internet, you are still able to play the campaign lag-free. Just how it fucking should be. But whereas Modern Warfare 3's campaign had some pretty good ideas also going for it, like the openness to each of the zones that Black Ops 6 would expand upon and ultimately improved, in Black Ops 7, it's like they doubled down back to how it was, only this time it includes more of the type of tech shit you'd come to expect from Black Ops 6. Like in Black Ops 6, the parts where you're actually able to use a grappling hook for one segment in the campaign. And in Black Ops 7's case, the type of tech shit you can come to expect here are stuff like the minor abilities. Maybe Doctor's Disrespect would love this game in that case. These abilities include stuff like a power jump, grappling hook, and wingsuit that can be used to traverse throughout the map and give you the illusion of variety within the gameplay. But when it comes down to anything else in terms of overall variety in your missions, it's pretty fucking repetitive. All that these missions end up amounting to are go to this place, maybe destroy a gate to progress, hack something, fight off enemies, scan something, kill boss, lather, rinse, repeat. Yeah, it gets quite boring quite quickly. I should probably also mention though that I actually ended up giving up on this game's campaign after giving it like 2.5 hours, which probably means in Call of Duty time I was halfway through the campaign, so I don't really think I would have been missing anything too much if I decided to push forward. Another thing that I feel like I need to bitch about when it comes down to the gameplay in the campaign is just how absolutely lazy this shit is supposed to be. Because of the co-op nature of the campaign, they expect that you and your 3 other buddies are supposed to fill out the entire squad that we're going to be following throughout the entire story. Except, if you're like me that wanted to play this alone, you're pretty much fucked because they couldn't have even been bothered to code bots to go with you, leading the entire game's campaign to feel empty and have it be a little bit inconsistent when it comes to the storyline when you see an entire group of people to these scenarios, but when that gets translated over to gameplay, it's just you and you alone. Would it have really been that difficult to code in some bots to fill in the other 3 spaces? I mean, Call of Duty has had bots that assisted you throughout missions in the past, so what the hell's the excuse here? But now comes the part of the campaign that I was the most curious about, the story. You see, something that Black Ops has always excelled at when you compare it to its Modern Warfare counterpart was its storytelling. Doesn't matter how samey the overall game was, the plots of these games, probably with the exception of Black Ops 3, Train Go Boom, Train Go Boom, were something a lot of people raved about.
Our journey to victory has begun! Death to the MPLA!
But in Black Ops 7? Holy shit, where do I even begin? Now, since this game is a direct sequel to Black Ops 2, we're placed back in the boots of David Mason, son of Alex Mason. Wonder how his dad's doing. Oh, and this game's premise, the baddies in this game called the Guild release this neurotoxin into the air that caused people to go apeshit, and you and your entire squad also get infected, which leads us having these dream sequences where none other than Raul Menendez is back. You know, somehow Menendez has returned. So from time to time, while you're busy with the real world problems, you and your team will get transported into this hallucination world where things just don't make a whole lot of sense, and there's a giant fucking machete that fell from the sky.
Did a giant fucking machete just drop out of the sky?
Thank you, Yondu. Now, this is also another thing that I was somewhat worried about when they revealed it. The more supernatural elements that were introduced midway and at the end of Black Ops 6. These were honestly the best parts of the game for me, and was something I gave genuine praise for because it showed us a side to Call of Duty that could be a little bit more artsy, and it was the most innovative in terms of visuals that this entire series has ever got. And now they're back in Black Ops 7, except this time I feel that they were overdone to shit, because it feels like a constant switch between the real world and the dream world, which really felt like they were trying to force these levels onto a level checklist instead of having them flow naturally into the events of the game's plot. I guess a better way to summarize that sentence is that these missions are a hell of a lot more jarring in the campaign, and they felt like they were just put here just because, and not because they actually have any relevance to the game's storyline. They just did this because they had to. Another thing I think they really messed up is how over the top they end up going with these levels. I don't feel like I'm playing a Call of Duty game anymore at this point, which I understand is something that I praised in the past, but since these levels are introduced so frequently here, it feels like it's a constant tug of war between having the somewhat more grounded setting and fucking Back for Blood, which is what some of these stages and boss fights ended up reminding me of. And if the first thing that I think of in your game is Back for Blood, then you already should know that you've done something wrong. I will have to say though that these levels do look amazing from a fidelity standpoint, and these do still have the most interesting set pieces in the entire campaign and overall the series, just based off of the fact that how apeshit and limitless you're able to go. Like in this instance where you have to fight the dream version of Menendez, you're able to summon your own giant fucking machete like an airstrike. But once all that's out of the way, then you plop back into the real world doing the same repetitive tasks. And keep in mind, like I said, I was feeling this burnout in the first 2 hours of gameplay. So if the game's campaign overall structure still keeps following the same type of shit, what's the point of me trying to keep pushing forward to see what else happens? Keep in mind, in Black Ops 6's campaign, yes, you did have your regular linear spungoggle wee shit. The morons who pre-order the shit every year needs that quota fulfilled because copy and paste game designs give them dopamine, but at least in some parts, it either knew when to introduce new elements or when to slow shit down. My favorite examples of Black Ops 6's campaign where it does something different being the Gala, or whatever the hell this place is called, where you get to snap images and do side quests. The one part of the campaign that reminded me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5, this type of level being what I consider that the open world design should have been in Modern Warfare 3 and by extension this game. And the absolute rush that you get when this game's version of a Nightmare World pops up, where you have a grappling hook and where you even get to fight off that one monster from the Zombies game mode. And then later, it ramps it back down to the corridor shooting. That's probably why I personally think Black Ops 6's campaign worked so well. It's because yes, it was a Call of Duty game on the surface, but the campaign worked in these newer elements at the right moments to help with the monotony and to help make these more out of place moments and set pieces all the more special. But in Black Ops 7, these types of moments aren't even special in the slightest because of how much more in your face they're pushed. And what I feel like would have probably helped this game's campaign stand out even more if they were gonna continue down this route with Nightmare Worlds and stuff, is either completely commit to having this nightmare sequence be an entire part of the campaign and not just level by level, or just make a completely different IP so that you don't need to be tied down to the Call of Duty name. But we all know that's definitely not gonna fucking happen now, is it? But I digress. How about we try talking about the actual story? From what I played, it's trash and unoriginal. It tries way too hard to take itself seriously, except for a few moments in the game.
Did a giant fucking machete just drop out of the sky?
What I mean by it being unoriginal is that it's a game where the villain set off a neurotoxin into the city that caused people to go apeshit. Even the enemies that are more like zombies are called fear gas, and the villain is the main protagonist from the prior entry who was killed and is now in this gas, busy tormenting you from beyond the grave and causes you to relive certain memories from the prior games. This is Batman Arkham Knight! The plot is literally Arkham Knight if it was in Call of Duty. The neurotoxin in this game is essentially Scarecrow's fear toxin from the last game, and Raul Menendez returning is essentially this game's equivalent to the Joker. And need I remind you what was the weakest part about Arkham Knight? The story! So why the hell would you want to base your game's plot around what a lot of people would agree to be the weakest part of the inspired game? At the very least, Arkham Knight is still an amazing game. My personal thoughts on it aside, that might be foreshadowing for a future video. But when you take this over-the-top premise that is perfect for something like Batman, and try to place it into something that tries to be a lot more grounded like Call of Duty, despite the fact that this is more Black Ops 2's futuristic setting, yeah, this type of plot doesn't work, and the inspirations don't even stop there. Open map with a lot of vehicles, a wingsuit that you can use to traverse these maps faster. That's Far Cry. Hell, at one point, one of the last bosses that I fought is a female sniper that has the ability to apparate like she's in fucking Harry Potter. Is this just not quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5? It doesn't really help that Metal Gear Solid 5 is already playing a lot into the inspiration of the game's movement, since we still have Omni movement, but this is a little bit too on the nose. Hell, the only thing that would have kept me pushing forward in the campaign is to just see what other elements I would have been able to spot that take inspiration from other games. But I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely gave up after I reached the level where you just essentially play on hijack. That alone was the biggest reason why I stopped giving a shit, because I immediately saw what this game was. For Mark excluded, by the way. You are still my beloved, my South African king.
I could have stopped the boat for you.
And take the sport out of it.
And I feel like I should elaborate on why I gave up with it and said to hell with the campaign. The last mission I played was just hijacked. Same layout, same fucking everything. A reused map from a game that released 13 years ago pretty much summed up a lot of what Black Ops 7 is as a whole. One big $70 nostalgia bait. I mean, can't you see it? Bringing back Menendez, the nightmare sequences having flashbacks to both Black Ops 1 and 2. The best multiplayer maps in this game being ripped straight from Black Ops 2. The zombies mode being more like transit. This is all that Black Ops 7 is. One massive nostalgia bait, something that would rather make you fond of remembering the good old days instead of being something that's innovative and tries to stand on its own and move away from the past. And if you really think about it, that's also something that Modern Warfare 3 in 2023 did. It brought back people from the Modern Warfare trilogy. They killed off Soap in the campaign, like how he died in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Except that wasn't him in the tunnel, it was his cousin Shampoo! A lot of the maps in that game were also just old maps that were ripped from the past games. Is this what Call of Duty is amounting to nowadays? Just a franchise that is so creatively bankrupt because of how rushed the development of all of these fucking games are, that the only way they're able to reel anybody back to their games is to play off of our nostalgia? It seems at this point that Activision and Call of Duty are practically like Nintendo. They're more focused on selling us nostalgia instead of actually innovating and making new memories. But I mean, all of that depressing shit aside, at the very least, Zombies is still the best mode in the entire game. They essentially took the fundamentals of transit, only this time they trusted us to be big boys and drive around in our own truck. Or as Vermark himself would put it, Bucky! But my biggest problem with this mode this time is instead of it feeling a lot more like transit, this still gives off vibes of Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak, meaning that it is essentially that exact same game mode, only with the round-based mode that made Zombies popular to begin with. So all in all, while Zombies is still the best mode in the entire series, it too is just an abysmal attempt to cash in on nostalgia instead of innovating and making something that people would enjoy and brand new. So those are practically my thoughts on Black Ops 7. And much like when it comes down to the beta, it seems like a lot of people are starting to realize that this is just a creatively bankrupt series that is in no way, shape, or form something that is worth investing time or money into. But what I still don't quite understand is the amount of praise that Black Ops 7 is still getting online. Hell, when I was trying to figure out what people's overall consensus to this game is, I stumbled across Metacritic giving this game on PC anyway a total of 83 out of 100. Do you understand, like, for this type of game, do you understand how bullshit that is? At the very least, the user score, which is probably the only score that's ever worth looking at, stands at a 1.9, meaning that it's overwhelmingly disliked, which is great to see. Hell, even people like IGN isn't glazing this game, giving stuff like the campaign a solid 6 out of 10, which I understand is a little bit too high, but still, that is beyond lower than most people would ever give it. And even if you look at Google user reviews, only 9% of people like this game. So where the hell is Metacritic getting all this praise for this game? This almost makes me think that Activision and Microsoft are trying their absolute best to bribe people by making them give us these positive reviews just to somewhat make Black Ops 7 look good. But the truth is right there, folks. This game is an absolute piece of dog shit that isn't worth your time or money. And that's pretty much it. Hell, if your game is really that bad that I wasn't even able to brave through the fucking campaign just because of how creatively bankrupt it is, you know you've lost me. And to add insult to injury, I pushed through Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, one of the worst games I think I've ever played in my entire life, and I even still saw that through to the end, whereas I couldn't even muster any strength for that for Black Ops 7. So with all of that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked what you see, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. If you do want to support the channel in any way, you can do so by either becoming a Patreon or becoming a channel member. And speaking of that, special thank to top tier channel members Poncho, my brother RWSJ Productions, and Eric. I've been John from the channel with the freakishly long name, and I'm going to go ahead and regain the 245 gigabytes off of my Xbox SSD that Black Ops 7 has stolen from me. Thank you guys so much, and good night and good fucking riddance, Call of Duty.